Good evening, everybody. So this evening we're going to talk about differences and similarities, uh, bivariate, biserial, semi-partial, and partial correlations. So some of the uh, similarities first. So really, bivariate is kind of like the tent pole for all of these correlations that we're going to talk about. Um, it's Bivariate is when you are assessing two variables, and all the other variables are assessing two variables with a different twist onto it, either adding a third variable or having a different type of second variable they're assessing. So really that's a big similarity over all of them, is that they're all two variables, just assessing those two variables in a different way. So to break down some of the differences. So first let's start with the biserial. So biserial, again, deals with two variables that it's trying to find correlation. But with one of those variables is dichotomous, which means that the dichotomous is it's one of the variables only has two categories. So it's a categorical variable, but it's only got two categories. So for example, it's got like just male or female, with the other variable having more of like income, like $1 to $100,000. It can keep going as much as you want. So for example, an example I came up with for biserial would be something like this. So I want to know, since I have dogs, dog A, female, dog B. So I want to see how many times a day my dogs, male or female, will bark. And that number, how many times it'll bark, can go on forever. It could go 1, it could go to 50 or 100. But male and female will be dichotomous. Moving on to partial correlation. So both semi-partial and partial correlation deal with two variables, but they also deal with this third variable. And the third variable is what differs between the two semi-partial and partial correlation. So start out with partial. The difference between one of these two is that partial deals with the effect of how that third variable is correlated. So, for example, I've kind of drawn out a sketch that it's kind of similar to what's on the book. So think of this as how to explain partial and semi-partial. So you've got this blue square, and then you've got a green square and a purple square, and they all converge together. And you can kind of see here where it's labeled A, C, D, and B, where they all kind of converge at different points. So this blue box up here would be exam, performance. This green box down here is exam, anxiety, and this purple box is revision time. So where they overlap, so for example, both partial and semi-partial would be comparing exam performance and exam anxiety. Where the third variable would kick in is where they differ is what that third variable is looking at across both of them. So with partial is going to look at the revision time along it, but it's going to look at all 3 points where it intersects. So it's going to look at where it intersects with exam performance and exam anxiety, as well with exam performance, exam anxiety, and revision time, as well as exam performance and revision time. With just only semi-partial, as you can see, the highlighted, it's only going to look at A and C. So we're just the two overlap, and just the one from one with that third variable either just looking at one or the other two variables. So the hardest part really for me in figuring all this out was really figuring out semi-partial and partial. And I hope I've explained it decently well enough. But to me, that's just the hardest part for me, was understanding how that third variable worked in between the partial and semi-partial. Um, the easiest part really is just understanding that these are all two variables and that they all use two variables in a different way. So if you got any questions, feel free to comment below. Thanks.